This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome Tufts employees to the 7 coping skills for parenting success. Again, my name is Kristen Herlihy of 411 Health and Wellness, and I come to you today on behalf of NEED, which offers wellness webinars for companies all across the state. I'm very happy to have you here, and I'm going to go over some housekeeping things, and then we're going to get started. We're going to enjoy the next 45 minutes together, and hopefully you can have some water, a little snack, enjoy your lunch. And I always encourage people to have some notes, if you a pen or a piece of paper or something nearby. I like to make sure to leave you with some skills as well as with some questions maybe you can write down. So always have that nearby. So a few housekeeping things. If you notice in the chat, I will go ahead and open up the chat. I put 2 things into there. One is a post survey. So again, wait till we're done. So we'll go ahead and fill out that survey when we are all done. That helps to let Tufts know what are the webinars that work well for you and how they can bring more wellness into your workday. That was a lot of words with W's. Okay. There is also a recording link. So if for whatever reason, if one of your coworkers was not able to make it today, we would love for them to be able to experience this webinar at another time. So they can go ahead. It takes about a week, and in about a week, they can check that link below, starting with tuftshealthplan.com/COVID-19. And in the link is right there. It'll be there in about a week where this recording will be. So I'd like to get started. We'll be together for about the next 45 minutes, and I am here for you to answer any questions that you might have about parenting success. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to point and click. Oh, everyone's coming in now. I see you. All right, is everyone able to see the 7 coping skills for parenting success? Do you see that slide deck? Thank you very much. Make everybody go a little bit smaller. Not that I don't want to see you. At any time, feel free to leave a message in the chat. This is like nice and casual. This is probably your lunchtime. So, pop a message in the chat, unmute yourself and say, hey, I got a question. I'm here for you, and we want to make sure that you get something out of this. So 7 coping skills for parenting success. Let's get started. So who am I? So I kind of put a little bit of a word salad together to share with you just a little bit about who I am. I am a licensed social worker, so I am a psychotherapist, so I work with clients online. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I love to keep that body moving and feeling fit and strong. And I'm also a certified health coach. So I really focus on nutrition and balanced nutrition throughout the lifestyle. Now, aside from that, I'm also a mom of 2 fabulous children who are back in school this week. Give a little shout out to the public school system for getting that going. But, I wear a lot of different hats in my day. I'm a therapist. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm a soccer coach, not a very good one, but a very empathic soccer coach. I'm a Cub Scout leader. I do a lot of things in my community, both as a professional and also as a mom. And I know that when we wear a lot of hats, we really feel like we're being pulled in a lot of different directions. So feel free now to pop into the chat if you wear any of these hats, or if you think there are some hats that I may have even missed. Because we all do a lot in our day, and most often we're doing it in service to other people. And this is one of those opportunities where this is a service just for you. And I want to make sure to hear from you. So go ahead and pop into the chat, or even just unmute yourself and go ahead and share a little bit about some of the hats that maybe you wear during your day that maybe I've missed. You're all Tufts employees, is that correct? I think so, yeah. So, we all do a lot of different things during our day, but that doesn't mean that self-care has to be put to the side. Maybe your bit of word salad looks even busier than mine, but I want to make sure that when we meet today, we're going to make sure to answer 3 of the questions that you may even be asking yourself these questions right now. Number one, mindfulness. How do we make a mindful change when everything in our lives is so stressful right now? You know, whether or not, there we go, Sophia's letting us know, whether you're a grandmother, you're a head of household, a pet owner. I am a pet owner, Sophia. My cat has been driving me bananas, just gonna say, from one fellow pet owner to another. All of our pets, when everything starts to open back up, where are they going to go? They're just gonna be so sad and miss us. You know, mindfulness is something that can take a bit of a sidebar in our lives. And we want to make sure that we're not just running through our day just to get tasks done. My guess is, as Tufts employees, you're probably pretty good about checking off that to-do list and getting things done in your day and making sure that you cover as many bases as possible. However, if there's anything that I've noticed with my clients in the past several months, we have been stretched pretty thin in terms of all the tasks that we have to do. A college prep search. Oh, Miss Kristen, oh my goodness, good for you. This is a fun time for kids to be looking at college. And you're a fellow scout leader. Hey, give a shout out to you on that one. Another question that you might be having is decisions. Why do I always make the same mistakes over and over? And again, this is a judgment-free zone. I'm not talking about mistakes being good or bad, but how does it happen that we keep making these same, falling down the rabbit hole, so to speak, over and over again? We know it's not going to work. We know it isn't the right way to go about doing it. We know it isn't the best solution, but it's the quickest, fastest, easiest solution, and that's the one we go with. And yet we're still sitting there going, why did I do that again? I know that wasn't going to make me feel good. I know that wasn't going to help my parenting skills. Why did I do it again? So that might be a question that you're asking, or even planning ahead. How can you plan ahead when we're all just one email away from everything changing all over again? If you are a parent and you have children in school, then I think you might know what I'm talking about when it comes to these emails that can change everything. Maybe as an employee, you know, you're getting ready and prepped for one meeting, and then you get an email that says that that's switched and now you're required to go over to another meeting. Are these questions ringing true for anyone? Feel free to pop in the chat if any of these questions seem like, yes, this is sort of where I'm sitting and I want to make a change and I want to go in a different direction. Feel free to let us know. We got a small group here today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So let's see where you are at specifically. I wanted you to really challenge yourself and go ahead and share in the chat. What are your biggest challenge areas right now? We talked about mindfulness, how to make a mindful decision and really check in with your mind and body connection and make sure that you're going in the right direction. How to make good decisions. Maybe that's something you're like, gosh, how did I do this again? Why am I making the same mistake over and over? You know, this gets so frustrating. Or maybe it went more to the idea of planning ahead. How can we plan ahead when we have no idea what could possibly be coming next? So go ahead and pop in the chat. I want to take a little poll right now, and you can let me know if it's mindfulness, decision-making, planning ahead, or all three that you feel are the biggest challenges for you. This will help gauge our conversation throughout our talk today. So I'd love to hear from you in terms of where the biggest challenges are. Planning ahead is definitely, you know, it's, you know, I feel with you on that one there, Sharon, because, you know, how do we plan ahead? Just to give an example, you know, I want to go away. You know, how far away am I able to go? Where can I go? What is a good location at this point? You know, being mindful, that's right, Anthony, being mindful. You know, what does mindful even mean? Mindful is one of those interesting sort of catch-all phrases that people just sort of toss into whatever that wellness salad is that's going on. But what does mindfulness even mean? You know, making the good decisions, it really is important that you don't want to feel frustrated. One of the biggest challenges that I see with the clients that I work with is negative self-talk. They sit there and they will internally beat themselves up saying, oh my gosh, how did I get here again? I cannot believe I did this. I am so this, this, this. Fill in the blanks with whatever word you want, but that's not where we need to be. And I will show you, so, stay tuned, Crystal, because I will show you some really great decision-making skills that help you sort of slow the process down and be more mindful. Checking in with how your body feels, checking in with your stress level, checking in with your environment before you just go ahead with the same old route again. Yeah, so planning ahead, that seems to be a big one that we are seeing as well. So moving on, you don't have to win the parenting lottery. Nope, you don't. I don't even know what the lottery is worth tonight, but wouldn't we all like to win that? But you don't have to win the parenting lottery, because if you are looking for effective coping skills that don't involve any expensive curriculum and can work at home, school, and office, and yes, I know we work from home, live at work, depending on how you phrase it, we need to have something that's flexible. And again, when I say effective coping skills, these coping skills are based in my training in psychology. I want you to have effective skills that are going to go through your day, whether you're, picking your kids up at school, or if your kids are in school in the living room behind you, whether or not you're going out to that restaurant, or if the restaurant takeout is on the dining room table, whether or not you're trying to decide if you're going to have a vacation or a staycation. And again, this is not any expensive curriculum. This is not something you have to buy. This isn't something that you have to master. What I'm going to share with you today is simply a methodology that's going to allow you to look at your decision-making skills in a unique and different way that utilizes cognitive behavioral psychology. So who's up for that? Who wants some psychology, right? I think everyone got all excited when I said lottery, and now you're like, what? I won't give out any money. Did anyone log off after that? Okay. But I do want you to feel as energized as these kids. Look at the win that they are having. Hopefully they have a dentist appointment later, because I see little gaps in there, but that's okay. Just go ahead and give me a shout out in the chat. Who wants to feel as energized as these kids when you get up in the morning, start your day, and begin to move forward? All right, so this is something that we can all feel from right when you get up, because you're going to have the 7 coping skills that you will need. Those will come at the close, but we're going to get started with something first, and it is called cycles theory. So if you have a pen and a piece of paper, you might want to take some notes. I'm going to show you part of a cognitive behavioral exercise that I use with my clients when I hear things like, I can't believe I did that again. Why do I keep making the same decisions with the same outcomes that don't work for me? Why can't I find a different way? So if these are some of the questions that you've been asking, now is a great time to start with some notes. So you can draw a little circle and just make the wheel as we have here. So we're going to get started with something that we call trigger events. What are trigger events? Trigger events are a life event that gets you started towards a negative behavior. Again, judgment-free zone. I don't want to see negative as a bad thing. I just see negative as something that you wish to have changed in your life. So a trigger event is something that I like to say gets the ball rolling, such as a work meeting that runs late, traffic on the way home, the lack of a commute. I have talked with many of my clients about the power of the commute. That commute when you were able to listen to your favorite podcast, or get that favorite cup of coffee, or stop in at that bagel shop and say hello to, the shopkeeper every day. These are different things that maybe if you are working from home, living at work, you are not necessarily having that commute. So a trigger event doesn't even necessarily have to be something that's present. It can be the absence of something. So keep that in mind. So I want you to take notes as we go along, because as we get through, I'm going to show you the first 4 phases of the cycle. I'm going to encourage one of you to take a live example, and we're going to see where it goes. So that first is trigger event. Now, again, it could be something external. It could be something internal. You could even oversleep. If you oversleep, I don't know about you, but as a parent, if I oversleep, That bus is coming to 8:02, whether or not I'm standing on the sidewalk. Am I right? So if I have to drive the kids to school, it takes my whole schedule and turns it upside down. So I like to make sure to get up nice and early. And when I oversleep, boy, does it really trigger me into what would be the next portion, feelings. Now, this is thoughts, feelings, and emotions associated directly with the trigger event. And again, I'm really looking for just descriptive words: mad, sad, happy, glad, frustrated, disappointed, aggravated. You know the drill. These are just words that describe your feelings and emotions. So I'll give you an example. If I were to oversleep, I forgot to set the alarm clock, I overslept. My feeling when I wake up is sheer dread and worry that I won't be able to get my kids up and out the door in time in order to get to my meeting, which is first thing in the morning. So dread, worry, starting from that trigger event. So we're going to move on to number 3. These are behavioral cues. This is the one, I think it was Anthony, you had talked about mindfulness in the chat before. This is where I want you to go ahead and circle this one, behavioral cues, because this is where mindfulness really comes in. Behavioral cues are physical cues associated with the trigger. So this is what I like to describe, and I know this, some of you, I might date myself on this, but remember when you actually had to get up from the couch to go to the television to turn, there was like a knob or a dial on your TV, right? You had to turn it down that way. So I want you to pretend like you're getting up and going to the couch, getting off the couch, going to the television. I want you to turn the volume down on your television and now look at the screen. Maybe you're watching The Bachelor, maybe you're watching your favorite HGTV show, whatever it is that you're watching. Try to figure out what the people are feeling. So I'll give you an example of behavioral cue. My 6-year-old makes this a lot. Okay, so a behavioral cue that physically she crosses her arms, she makes this face, right? We love this face as parents. We know when we see this face, we know we're doomed. And her shoulders get super tight, right? That's an example of a behavior cue that's external that someone else can see. Now there are also, keep in mind, circle this one, internal behavioral cues. Sometimes my clients will say, oh, my palms, when I get nervous, my palms get all sweaty. Or I get this headache because I get nervous and worried about this upcoming meeting. And it's a stress headache. Or my stomach just gets totally in knots. I have to do this presentation today. I don't know if it's going to go well. I'm so nervous. My tummy is tumbling. Okay. So again, remember, you have internal as well as external behavioral cues. Now, even if it's an internal behavioral cue, can someone see it from the outside? If you saw one of your coworkers going like this, right? Would you wonder if they were having a headache or if they had just won the lottery, right? So again, there are some internal cues that you might feel and you think nobody else knows what's going on. The physical language, the body cues, people can really read those, whether they're seeing you in a little square on a video screen or they're sitting next to you in that cubicle. This is how it can be read, both internally as well as externally. So again, we like to tune into that mind-body connection and be really, really aware of what our body is feeling and when. That's mindfulness, Anthony. So now we go to our final one, negative behavior. And again, I'm using negative in a very soft way. It really is the behavior that you want to change. So maybe you made a poor behavioral choice and it resulted in a negative consequence. I'll walk you through my example, starting with the trigger event. Now, again, I overslept, right? I forgot to turn on the alarm. Oops, I overslept. I wake up and I look at the clock and I feel this dread and this nervousness. Oh my goodness, am I going to be able to get the kids up to get them on the bus? Because they have that meeting at 8:15 and I have to get them on the bus. And if not, I have to drive them and then I'll be late. And that's the feeling, the nervous and the dread. The behavioral cues, I start to run around really fast. I get really snappy. I'm very short-tempered. Come on, get up, get up, get up. It's time to go. Leading in the negative behavior of maybe I have an outburst and I snap and say something very unpleasant to my spouse, or to my kids, and that's the behavior I want to change. And a lot of times people will get to that negative behavior and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I reacted that way again. Not going back and making the connection. They think maybe it was their spouse that triggered them. Maybe it was they slept wrong. Not even going back to the original trigger event of going, wait a second, I overslept. That's what it was. It was just something that happened. And again, there's no judgment. There's no shame or blame at any point in this cycle. So, this is something that happens to us dozens of times a day. And sometimes we hop over that negative behavior and keep on going. But other times we kind of, we take that stop and think, I completely snapped and yelled at my spouse. That was all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And you're able to stop and reroute in the moment. So is there anyone, and again, I know this is fun. We're taking a plunge here into the deep end. Who would like to offer? You can either put it into the chat and I can talk it through, or if you want to unmute and go ahead and share, if there is something that you think you could relate into this trigger event, feeling, behavioral cue, and negative emotion framework. Who wants to? If you go, Sophia will give you a puppy. No, I'm just kidding, but. All right, do we have any takers? Anybody who feels comfortable giving an example? And again, the examples don't even necessarily have to be negative. Sometimes things just happen, and that's just sort of life. That's sort of the way that it goes. Now I'm going to give you an example while someone thinks about if they want to go. I'll give you an example working it backwards. So one of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling kind of blah is my favorite go-to blah meal of just, oh, I have no energy, is to go ahead and have a cheeseburger and French fries and a vanilla shake. I know, what's the health coach doing eating that? Makes no sense. But it's delicious, and I go ahead and I eat it, and it tastes great. And boy, don't I feel horrible afterwards. But that's an example. We're going to work it backwards. So the negative behavior is that I made an unhealthy choice for food. I could have had something a little bit cleaner, a little bit greener that would make me feel better. So let's go backwards. Maybe the behavioral cue was that I was really kind of sluggish and I was just kind of dragging through my day, right? And you're just sort of like, you have that blah feeling, that blah behavioral cue. The feeling is that maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just tired. And the trigger event is that I decided to stay up late last night and binge one of my Netflix shows, and then all of a sudden I didn't get enough sleep. So that's an example of how you can also look at it backwards, because you can look and think, geez, why did I have that cheeseburger, fries, and vanilla shake? Delicious, not calorie dense, not nutrient dense. How did I get here again? So we have someone who's offering something. We're going to walk it on through. A trigger event, arriving home and no one got anything done. A dinner set? No. Tell me that did not happen. This sounds, I can't relate to that at all. Okay. Everyone's on the electronics. My goodness, what a trigger. So you walk in the door, arriving home from wherever, having an expectation of maybe there might be some supper moving, maybe there might be a load of laundry on, maybe the floor, you'd be able to see it, but instead the floor is covered with bodies looking at electronics, playing their games. The feeling is that you're angry and frustrated. Again, all feelings are good. All feelings are on the table, and I love talking about feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. So the behavioral cue is that you start to disengage from your family. I think that we'll go into this one. The behavioral cue is that you withdraw from your family. Maybe when you withdraw, what are you doing? Are you stewing? Are you steaming? Are you thinking, anybody clean up? You start to have an internal conversation, and the behavioral cue is that you're stewing and steaming, but maybe you went off into the room, in another room, to have that moment to do that. And the negative behavior is that you get angry with your family. So again, that's a perfect example. Thank you, Kristen, for sharing that with us. That's a perfect example of seeing how you get to a negative behavior and you think, gosh, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to yell at the family. But this can be what happens. All right, Anthony, it looks like you're starting one with a trigger event being work interruption. Are you being interrupted while you're entering it into the chat? I hope not. if you're able to enter those in, you can go ahead and let us know, and we'd love to walk through an example with you. A work interruption, I mean, there's nothing more disturbing than, you know, whether or not your phone is going off, whether or not you have email prompts that ping and bing and ding and ring and are constantly going, or if you're trying to get some work done and maybe a family member is right there, whether it be a child or a parent that you're taking care of, or even a furry child. You know, these are some of the interruptions that a lot of us are experiencing in our day. So we're going to go on to this next part, and I want to make sure to give you 7 skills to take with you. So if you have been taking notes all along, this is the key point. I'm going to go over each one individually, and as I do, I want you to really think about what one resonates with you, what one sort of hums and drums, and you think, yeah, that would totally work. I'm going to try that. And then I also want you to keep a second bucket of, wow, this is one that I know I already do, and I want to give myself a shout out for already doing it, because I'm going to reinforce that for you. So our first skill is call it for what it is. I think so often we try to sugarcoat things and we try to make things sound glossier or dreamier or better than they are. But you know what? Stress is stress. And I've been in the field for over 25 years. I have yet to read a study that has been done proving the benefits of stress. Okay, stress comes at your physiological system, your emotional system, your interpersonal relationships. There is no win when stress is there. So call it for what it is. This is a stressful moment. I am stressed out. You are triggering me. You are stressing me out. I need to take a break. Calling it for what it is. Giving it 90 seconds, you know, and again, there's that old Irish adage of this too shall pass. You know, go ahead and just give yourself 90 seconds, but be proactive during that 90 seconds. If during that 90 seconds, you're sitting there and going, can't believe, when I came home, they were just, all the electronics were on it. I got another 45 seconds to talk about this. I cannot believe no one started the dish. If that's how you're using your 90 seconds, those behavioral cues are going to be more intense. Those feelings and emotions are going to be more intense, and that trigger will get you every single time. So take the 90 seconds and use it actively. So go ahead. Everyone's going to go ahead and place your hands right on your lap, right on those quads. I want you to just take a big inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. There you go. Do it again. One more time. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Now we have 2 more breaths, and I want to show you how we're doing it differently. Inhale, bring up those shoulders right up to the ears, and then exhale. And let those shoulders drop. One more. So again, we're engaging our physiological system in order to help calm down. That's a mindfulness cue for you. You're slowing down your breathing. Studies have shown that as little as 90 seconds, and I kid you not, 90 seconds of breathing skills have been able to help people with being able to slow their heart rate, bringing their heart rate down. It helps people to lower their blood pressure, and it helps improve their focus. 90 seconds. So give it 90 seconds, but make sure that it's 90 seconds that are going to be valuable to you. And coming back. Building a calming corner. Now, this can be something done for yourself as well as for your children. When everything got a little stressful at the beginning of last year, when everything was changing, I built a little corner in right outside my children's bedrooms, and I put like soft stuffed animals, some reading books in there, some stickers, like little coloring books, just little things that if they were starting to feel stressed, and I allowed them to figure that out, you know, are you feeling like you need to have a moment for yourself? I would invite them to go into that calming corner and stay as long as they liked. If they wanted to color, if they just wanted to hug a stuffed animal, if they wanted to read a book, that was their calming corner. Now, again, I know we've already had a comment about electronics, so I leave that up to you as to whether or not electronics are calming. My older child, he needs to, you know, in his words and in my observation, he needs to have a little bit of video time, whether it be television or He's into watching movies on Netflix now. He likes to have that when he comes home from school. I like to allow him to have that. That helps calm him. Now, would I let him sit there for 3 hours? Probably not. So again, think about that calming corner and build it for yourself as well. You know, whether or not you go ahead and you have a she shed or, you know, a man cave, you know, whether it's a calming corner or just a, you know, whatever you can get for your space, letting people know that when I'm in that space, you cannot visit. You are not allowed. No. Setting a schedule. This one is one that, you know, sometimes people, they can hem and haw over this one because setting a schedule can feel restrictive and it can feel like you have to be somewhere at some time, which, you know, there's so much on our to-do list. You know, why are we setting a schedule? However, you know, studies have shown from a cognitive behavioral perspective that a schedule produces safety and security because you know what to expect. And this is very important for children as well, all across the maturity process, because they need to know what's coming next so that they can help prep themselves. Even if it's something as simple of, you know, getting their backpack ready for school the next day, or going ahead and asking what they would like for lunch this week so that you can go ahead and prep it, or asking them, you know, what homework is coming up this week. My 4th grader, I think for about 3 months, forgot his recorder for music class the entire time. We could not get that together. So finally we set a schedule on Sundays where I would sit down and say, what do you got coming up this week? Do you have music this week? Because again, it was every other week, so very confusing for the poor mommies here. And the daddy's trying to figure out the schedule. But, you know, once we were able to get that down, he was able to have what he needed, and then he didn't have to worry about being the kid in class who didn't have what they needed. Now, identifying the triggers. This is something how we started way back at the beginning. And, you know, when you think about that first part of the cycle, be honest with yourself what your triggers are. You know, maybe one of your triggers is, you know, for me, we had a hybrid system for my children, and Wednesday was the day. This is the very first Wednesday in over a year that they have not been here. Wednesday was their full remote day. And it was completely triggering for me because, like Anthony was sharing, those work interruptions were constantly around me. And I wasn't able to really get a lot done. So I needed to just really say, you know what, I'm a mom and I'm a business owner, and I really need to have some small space of time to get some work done. And it's not that I don't love my children and I don't value their education, but it was very difficult to balance the both. So I had to really communicate to my spouse saying, hey, Wednesday's just a triggering day for me. You know, can we work this out? Can I try to get some help with that? And it's really funny, creating an escape plan. A lot of people sort of wonder what I mean by this. You know, go ahead and share in the chat. How many people here actually have a fire escape plan for your house and have practiced it with your children or your pets and know how to get out in case of a fire? Or maybe your children went to school or went to a community event where it was shared with them about how to get out of a fire or, you know, any kind of an emergency, what to do. You know, we'll go ahead and explain that to our kids, but we won't talk to them how to get an emotional escape plan. And that is just one of those things, whether you have a code word like it's popcorn time, you know, or whether you're like, okay, I'm going out, you know, whatever the phrase is, creating that escape plan so that if things do start to go south, gather everyone up, make a shift and make a change. You know, for us, I use the example of popcorn. You know, if things were starting to rise and, you know, I could feel like things were triggering, it's popcorn time. I'd make popcorn and we would go ahead and sit down and watch something and have some popcorn and just take 20 minutes to try to regroup. Nothing better than with popcorn. And that was just the escape plan that worked well for us. And that's something you can think about. And have a regular family check-in time. I know I alluded to this before when I talked about you know, when I was getting my son ready for his, whether or not he had his recorder, we sort of had a Sunday time. Sunday is our regular family check-in time, you know, and whether that's, you know, me and the kids or my spouse is also involved, we go ahead and we just sort of check in. How did things go this week? Is there anything that you really enjoyed? Is there anything that you'd like to see differently? Because, you know, so often we get I don't know, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, and we think, whoosh, it's like whiplash. How did we get here? Check in, take that time, whether it's once a week, once a month, or whatever works well for your family, checking in. And that way, the children are also going to have a say, and their opinion matters in terms of what they think went well and what they'd like to see differently. Now, again, as parents or grandparents, you are the gatekeepers and you are the decision makers. So you can always go ahead and, veto if they want to have ice cream for breakfast every day, but making sure that, they have a voice and they understand that there's a lot of planning that goes into the logistics of every day. So looking at these skills, why don't you go ahead and pop into the chat? I would love to hear, what are some of the skills that resonate most with you? Ones that you're like, yes, I need to go ahead and try this. It was there and I kind of forgot about it. Maybe these are ones like we've seen in the chat that you do already, but it's always a good reminder to see them. Or you can go ahead and share in the chat, is there something that you've never, that you know that you already do, and this is a great reinforcer for you. So feel free to hop on in the chat, share away. And as you're thinking about that, I want to make sure that what you take away from our program today is a path to parenting success. What will you change for yourself today? And I know when we look at the months of the year on the bottom of the calendar, it seems like they've all disappeared. They seem to have slipped from one month into the next. Let's see if you can either take notes or feel free to share into the chat what's something that you want to do differently in terms of what we learned today. We talked about the cycles theory, identifying what triggers us, how it makes us feel, what are the cues that we can see as well as other people, and what is that behavior that you want to change. Thinking about the 7 skills of things that either reinforce what you already do, so you really want to make sure and be mindful of that, or if something new came up, like maybe you want to start to do, that weekly family check-in time, weekly, monthly, whatever works for you. And, that escape plan, I know that that's something that's, it might sound a little unusual, but we have escape plans for so many other things. You wouldn't let your kids sit in the car without a seatbelt on. You put a helmet on them when they go ride their bike. You make sure that, if they need to contact a neighbor, they might have a cell phone number or know how to do that. But how often do we help our kids with that emotional check-in and that emotional escape plan? And this is something that allows them to do that. And again, when you start to use these skills, such as taking 90 seconds before reacting, your kids are going to see those skills too. And I don't want you to hide this. This doesn't have to be a secret. This doesn't have to be behind the parent's screen. Go ahead and say to your kids, there are times when I say to my kids, you know what, mommy's taking 90 seconds. I'm going to my calming corner and I'll be back. I'm going to go take care of myself and I'll be right back. Or I might even demonstrate for them how to go ahead and take that deep breath and get out of a situation. Whenever you're at that red light, try our breath technique. And if your kids see you do this, it normalizes the experience of emotional self-care and allows them to see that it's an important part of your day and that maybe it can be an important part of their day. So we're going to go ahead and finish with the screen share today. As we come to the close, I just want to remind everyone, go back to the top of the chat. There is as part of the Wellbeing and Webinar series with Tufts, there is a survey that they would like for you to take. So please take the time to click on that survey right in the chat. And also this meeting has been recorded. So if you had friends or coworkers that were not able to attend, in about a week or so, it will be in this portal that they can go ahead and check out. So now is the time. I know we've been interacting throughout. Are there any questions as we head into the close? Any big takeaways for people? We cannot see the survey link. If you go all the way up to the tippy top of the chat, it says, thank you for joining Tufts Health Plan's Wellbeing Webinar Series. I wonder if I can cut and paste. No, I can't. So if you scroll up to the top, I put it into the chat right before we even started. Are you able to see it now? I hope so. I can't cut and paste. Oh, wait, I can. Hold on, let me see if I can move it down to where, oh, there we go. Let's see, I'm gonna move it down. Copy. Oh, okay. All right, so here is the link for the survey that has now popped in. Didn't realize that you can't see all the prompts if it's not there. Who knew? Now I know. And so the survey is there, and I'm going to go ahead and also include the link for the recording so that if in the future, if you need to review this or share it with a coworker, please feel free. That is in the chat as well. So if there are no further questions, I want to be mindful of your time. We are reaching the 1 o'clock hour. And again, my name is Kristen Herlihy of 411 Health and Wellness. I was brought to Tufts here today through need. If you liked this presentation or you'd like to see something even more, go ahead and feel free to connect with the person that invited you to this meeting today, and they can get in touch with the need representative to bring more Wednesday wellness to your workday. Thank you very much for joining me today. And if there are no questions, we will go ahead and close off the recording for today. Thank you very much and have a nice day.